Thank you for the opportunity to wear a jacket. I normally don't do this very much, for those of you that know me. I'm going to diverge a little bit. Productivity in a crisis, I suppose I was given this title. The crisis really is, I suppose, we're closing a site. We're based in Clarecastle. Those of you that would have driven the road from Limerick to Galway before the motorway, you'd have passed a big site in Clarecastle, big blue sign, Syntex or Roche previously. So we're a big drug substance site. Basically what that means is we make the white powder that goes into medicines, okay? The legal white powder, I must preface that with. It's been a very interesting journey. So what happens, Matt, you get to speak at stuff like this, but typically guys like me at a certain age, I go to work in the morning, I want to do a good job, but I don't like speaking at I suppose, functions, conferences like this. But what's happened, very interestingly, this is the really ironic thing, Roche are closing us, but we're the only site that's actually implementing lean in a successful manner. So in a 2-month period, I have 6 of these talks to make to other sites, and I have another 3 hostings. So getting back to what Eamon was saying earlier, we do a lot of very good stuff in this country. People like me, and I'll only speak for myself, sometimes we don't do a very good job of telling that story. And I suppose I got a little bit of a kick in the pants last year from people like John and the guys in SA Partners. Why don't you tell your story? Because you're doing a good job. Now, we also do some things poorly. I'm going to highlight some of those because there are learnings. This is about learning. Because people like me, I need to get another job at some stage, so I need to continuously improve. I'm not here to sell myself, by the way, but we do need to learn. And also for my people, they need to learn. So we're very good technically. So a little story. We let 300 people go in 2016. Okay, so 300 of 500 people. Pretty traumatic, all the usual stuff. Not to talk about that today. The first people that left the site, through HR circles, we got back, your people are very good, but they don't know what they know. So very good technically, but they can't sell themselves. They don't know that they have done lean, if that's good English. They don't know that they can communicate very well. So we kind of had to recalibrate ourselves and help people that were leaving in that first tranche of people in 2016. And then we probably had a little bit of a discussion. I'll get into it in more detail. So we had very good people, but they couldn't sell themselves to other employers. So that's basically the premise for the presentation today. There's a lot better lean folk in the room, so I'm not going to focus too much on lean. It's more around leadership. So please bear with me. We run a big chemical, so we're a bunch of chemists, engineers in the west of Ireland. We deal with millions of litres of highly flammable solvents. We make medicines. The tough part of our job at the moment is that we have 3 years. We know for 3 years that the site is closing. So how do you keep people engaged when you have highly dangerous substances that you use every day? You're making life-saving medicine. And some people just want to come to work and get paid. Leave me alone. But you have 3 years. So Irish people love being miserable. That's what I tell the Europeans. We're never happier unless we're miserable. But how do you turn that misery into something that's positive? And that's really, I suppose, it's around learning. So how do we maintain people's engagement, that they don't do anything silly, they don't hurt themselves, that they produce product that is life-saving, and at the end of that, they give themselves the best chance possible of getting a decent job? So, Roche, what do we do? I'm not going to spend very long on this. You can break down our company very simply. We research and development innovative medicines. We spend about 10 billion euros a year, so we're in the top 3 companies annually. So you have your mad chemists on the left-hand side there. They come up with a product. Most people in the room then are in the next category where somebody has to make that product commercially. And that's where we are in the middle bit. So you make that in big reactors, and big vessels and all that kind of fancy stuff. So you need your chemists and engineers. And once the product is made, you obviously have to ship that to hospitals, clinics, and ultimately to a patient. The reason we're in the situation we're in at the moment is that Roche want to manufacture, or I suppose, innovative, life-saving medicines for unmet medical needs. And the way medicine and pharmaceutical industry is going, and as we're learning more and more about the body, that's going more and more towards biotechnology and processes like that. So small volume, very specific, that will help the patient cure their illness. So it's great for the patient. It's very challenging for people in manufacturing because back in the 90s, you could make hundreds of tons of white powder and sell it. Don't care if it works on 50% of the population or not, they'll still probably buy it. That's bad pharma. What pharma's trying to do now is produce medicines that work. And so it's more outcomes-based, but that's a huge challenge for manufacturers. So you're getting to a situation where you had easy economies of scale back in the 80s, 90s, even 2000s. Now you're getting into where you may even make a medicine that's unique for one person. That's the way it's going for us. So it's great for the patient, challenging for manufacturing. So my site is in a situation where we don't make medicine for unmet medical needs. There are other products out there. So Roche made a decision to close the site and move on. So the journey, we had 41 years, open for business, very successful, pretty good relative to our peers. We're always in the top quartile, no issue. Decision came in 2015, so we spent 2 years trying to sell the site. And the problem with sites like ours, there's lots of capacity in the world. Okay, so nearly sold it twice, failed twice. That's life, unfortunately. You live and learn. So by the end of 2019, the site will close. And that's our target. As I said, 300 people left in 2016. There's about 200 people left on the site at the moment. So all those 200 people, with the age profile that's left, have to get a job. That's one element. So we want people to get the best possible job possible. And the second thing is we want people to be very safe, come to work, go home. All of the regulatory agencies in Ireland know that we're closing, so we're kind of a hot topic for the likes of HSA, EPA, bodies like that. So it's been a very interesting journey. That's another book for another day. I work for a Swiss company. So in 2016, we were trying to sell the site, got very close, failed at one time. So we're continuously trying to sell the site. But at the end of 16, as a leadership team, we sat down and said, okay, guys, we can continue to live in a little bit in denial and try to sell the site. And just, as I say here, between two mountains, you take an easy path through the middle. Go for a nice walk in the valley. Very pretty in Switzerland. Or do we take on a more difficult challenge and take a hike? And this is not like climbing Croagh Patrick, by the way, anyone that's been in the Alps. It's a little bit taller, as the Swiss like to keep telling us. So do we want to take on a challenge and kind of face up to the reality of the situation that we probably will close the site? We would probably all have to look for jobs. And in fairness to the gang that I work with, they were up for the challenge. Sorry, I'm going through these very quickly because a lot of these are just kind of background slides. So the challenge was keep people engaged for 3 years. That's fundamentally what we had to do, and keep them safe, and make sure that the patient gets medicine that's I suppose, correct. So what our bosses wanted us to do in Switzerland, and it's interesting, they wanted us to really just supply the medicine, but it is life-saving. So if you the main medicine, if you have a liver, kidney, heart transplant, it stops you rejecting that medicine. So the day that you get that new liver, you take our medicine, you're on it for life. You have to take it every day. We're the only source worldwide, and we have annual revenues. We guarantee 700 million, so it's a great cash cow for the company. So they have to transfer this product to another site. You can imagine how that goes down with my people. But we've gotten over that. But anyway, we're in a highly regulated environment. We don't have to get into that, I'm assuming, in the room, okay? So as a team, we added an extra word to this. We said faultless. So we wanted to set ourselves a target. To be very honest with you, as a leadership team, I'm speaking probably to, there's nobody here from Roche, we wanted to leave the site with pride. We wanted to say, we've done a hell of a job, guys. You're closing one of the best sites that you have in the network. So that's why we inserted the word faultless there. The bit that we add as a leadership team, so what we wanted to sell to employees was, okay, guys, we will upskill you. We will give you time at work to apply those skills in a work environment. And hopefully, you will deliver some successes. The business will improve. And when you go for interview, you can share those successes with a future employer. I suppose, how does that sound? So 7 or 8 people in a room as a leadership team, that sounded brilliant. Okay? We're brilliant. That was a brilliant mantra. The challenge, though, is, most people probably remember this gentleman. And his comment way back when he was asked about the election is about the economy, stupid. I think Judith referred to it earlier. When you're doing change, it's all about people. It's very simple. However, people forget it's about people. People love to focus on the tools. They love to focus on the strategy, on the plan. They forget that you have to convince people that they have to engage with this. So I suppose we had to come up with what was our compelling message. And we spent a lot of time at this. We knew what we wanted to do, but how could we convince people that we could have a reasonably decent 3 years and that it's not misery every day? So what we came up with was we wanted to deliver above average results which will improve job opportunities for people, okay? We paired with the likes of John and the guys in SA Partners. I would say that has been challenging. You normally employ consultants, they tell you what you want and they leave. We weren't ready for consultants that told us that we were shite, excuse my French. We were good, but you're shite. So it was good to get an Irish guy in first, and then he left, and then he invited his colleagues from the next island, and they're even worse. But it's been brilliant. They hold a mirror up to you, they challenge you, and we focus really on lean tools, but primarily I've had capitals on the behaviour side of this. And it's behaviours from the leadership team down, not from that poor operator or that bad maintenance guy over there. We started to focus on the leadership team first, which was very uncomfortable, I have to admit. It's always for somebody else. Lean is for somebody else, it's not for us. So our mantra was, it's better for you, so you learn the skills. We'll give you the time to apply those skills in our factory. And the better for business bit is, hopefully, and we set no targets. We said if we do this right, the improvements should come. But the better for business should be, you'll get the successes. And at the end of this, ye will all, and we will all get a job somewhere else, okay? Yeah, you may say that the economy, we were nearly at full, I suppose, employment. Yeah, but Irish people aren't great to move. They're not that mobile. We're in the west of Ireland, so the opportunities are not in pharma. They're in medical devices, they're in maybe bio. So it's a different industry. So people have to learn a new language. They have to upskill themselves to probably work in different environments. So the mantra was really better for you, the company will support you, and hopefully we'll get the better for business. So in 2017, what we did was, as I said, let 300 people go, downsize the facility. To say it was challenging was an understatement. So we had to create a huge amount of stability early in 2017. After Christmas, I wasn't sure whether the site would even run. It did. We got better very quickly. Then we made some capacity. So John showed a chart earlier. You have a lot of volatility. We got rid of the volatility. We made space. People then could upskill. That's the building the capability bit. And then things started to happen. And we thought we were brilliant. And then we were told, you're okay. So at the end of 2017, we had a bit of we had a tough couple of months where the guys came in, and then we were upset with ourselves that they told us that we were doing a good job. But the C here actually means I had dinner with one of his colleagues, and the C actually, he said to me was, you are content with slightly above average. Now I play sport. I've a couple of All-Ireland medals in hurling and stuff like that. I'm very competitive, as most people in the room probably are. To say that you're content with slightly above average performance, I called him names that begin with A and B. Honestly, we had quite a tough discussion, but then we had a good discussion. We had, as Judith said, an adult discussion. Then I left, and the first time ever, on the way home from dinner, I went to the pub because I had to write my notes up because I was so annoyed. Why was I content as the leader of the site to have just slightly above average? And this was really, I was using this as an excuse. We were managing huge change. I thought we were good, and we were good. We were good relative to the other Roche sites. I had a huge blind spot. My leadership team, we weren't aligned to deliver this program. So we were expecting the managers, and we expected the team leaders and the operators, they're magic dust guys. We're giving you time, we're bringing in consultants, just go do. But people were looking at us and didn't appreciate that at the time because we were so busy. It was an excuse, looking back in it. And our work streams, and these two are connected, we had various work streams, and there was a bit of competition within the leadership team. They also have to go and get a new job in a couple of years. So 2017, huge change, good year, but could have been a lot better. And again, I'm not a lean expert. I know enough to be dangerous and ask some very, very stupid questions. So what we did at the start of 18, we came up with a process where install visual management so you can see the issues. You see those issues, you problem solve them. So you apply A3, they make Kaizen. Solve the issues. You then have your team leaders, managers, site leadership team. We all can go out and CADA coach the people, okay? And then you build in standard work. So in a 6-month period, through a very structured, well-defined plan, that's what we're rolling out. And all the time we're upskilling our employees. With the focus, we want to leave the site, I suppose, with a learning organization. So again, lots of the same comments. We have standards for visual management. We have standards for all of these, very well defined. We're training people on all of these. You then start with your visual management. You check versus the standard. It's bog standard work. This is nothing. This is easy. My mother could do this, as I say. But the issues come down here when you start to problem solve, as John said earlier. Do you really do it well? Do you CADA coach? Do your people expect you? Is it a miracle that I appear in a certain part of the site? You haven't seen him in 6 months. It's the same for my leadership team. So you want to get into a cycle. I'm sure everybody in the room knows this model. It's actually applying this model. So at the moment we have 3 of the 4 modules done. We're nearly about to start leader standard work. This is working. And the way I can show it, a little bit like Judith, I'll show some of the results. To say we've hit the ball out of the park this year, I suppose that's why I'm on a plane 6 times in the next month to tell our story. Because the other Roche sites, it hasn't worked because they have basically come bottom up. They haven't got the leadership team engaged. They haven't got the leadership aligned. So just give you a flavor. Expenses year on year reduced by 8%. This is the one I'm most proud of. 22-year-old process. We've reduced the cycle time in the last 3 months by 17%. That's worth $250,000 to me every month. That's not bad money. That's real hard cash that Roche will get back because there are customers that will buy the product. We saved last year $1.3 million. Wasn't bad for a C student. Engagement is very positive. You don't have to measure that. You know it. So we get a lot of visitors to the site. The feedback is very positive. And they meet. We don't escort them. I don't escort these visitors. I give them a team leader. They go out and about. They come back. They give me feedback. And compliance, very important. Work for a Swiss company. Low risk strategy for everything they do. They have given us the latitude to apply this program. This is the part I'm actually really proud of. So tell me, in a regulated, highly regulated environment, how can you move 75% of your people in 18 months and not have a compliance issue? We've done that, and we're going to do more. So it's not just about applying lean in Clarecastle. What we're doing is that we're moving people. We're giving them job opportunities, temporary ones. We're job shadowing. So we're doing this in a very structured manner. So 75% of people will have on their CV at least one new job in 2 years. And they will have learned new skills. We're also doing a lot of external skills. So yeah, at night, but that's the easy thing to do. Give some money, let people go on night courses in UL and Galway and places like that. But it's been done. And on the lean skills, we actually had originally set ourselves a target of about 30% uptake. We're at 95 and growing. No issue. The pull is there from employees. Getting back to my engagement. So for me, it's sending out the right messages. So I'm well over time, but this is probably my second last slide. So from a learning, okay, we're closing. You can say that's easy, have a shared purpose. No, there's been other Roche sites that have gone this journey and had made an absolute mess of it. So why are you on this journey, whether it's lean or whether it's whatever? Because you have to sell it to employees. You have to get the engagement. A big fan of Simon Sinek, if anybody watches him on YouTube. Why? Why are you doing it? It's easy for me as a site head. But people on the shop floor, they're the ones who really do the work. How do you get their engagement? This is the one I love, and most people kind of look at me as if I have 4 heads. The first bit of this, leaders must lead. And they always say, of course we lead. Yeah, of course you lead. You do emails. How much of your day is spent doing emails? How much of your day is on TCs? How much of your day is doing something where you're not actually leading your team or leading people? Yeah, we're busy. But if you're a leader, you have to lead people. And you have to spend a considerable portion of your time doing that. So you have to be out and about. You have to go see. It's not the team leader. It's not the manager's job. It's you set that standard. If you're not out and about, don't expect it for somebody else. So in the modern world, it's very easy to stay in an office, a cubicle, doing stuff that's non-value added. And you need to role model behaviours. So that's why the guys in SA Partners have really stressed us out, to be honest with you. They've started at us, or at our level. It's not always been fun, but it's getting funner, better, whatever that is. If I was on Matt Cooper's show, I wouldn't say this, that leaders don't have all the answers, because he'd probably take you apart, but you have to show vulnerability. We all know you see this in all the management books. Hire somebody better than yourself. Yeah, right. Yeah, everybody wants that, but you want to be seen as the person who's all the answers. In a lean environment, in a knowledge and in a learning environment, it's no good. You want the person at whatever level you're interacting with, you have to encourage them. Yeah, I know some, but I don't know everything. So you have to be vulnerable. A big learning with the guys is you have to take time to reflect. We're all busy. You could probably fill your day 12, 14 hours, most people in the room. Take a bit of time, put it in your calendar, and reflect on what's gone well, what's not gone well, or how the business is doing, whatever. Even if it's about your family or friends. I highly recommend it. I'm not big into mindfulness, I mean, a typical Irish guy, but I do take time to reflect from a business perspective, and it's been brilliant. We as a leadership team take time to reflect, not just on the business metrics. Practice, practice, practice. Again, everybody knows the 10,000 hours. What people, to be a master at something, what people don't say is it's 10,000 hours, but you have to push yourself, you have to stretch yourself. So doing lean, you have to get out there. You have to role model. Sometimes you look stupid. You have to don't have all the answers. But that's how people will start to respect you. Sorry. So practice, and you have to push yourself. One of the reasons that Roche is making an absolute mess of their lean program is they got in one of the big consulting houses, and they well supported for all the pilots, and then they pulled the consulting houses, and they didn't have anybody, I suppose, to continue the program. It sounds stupid. They believe that people could have multiple hats on, do OpEx, do QC, do OpEx, do engineering. Doesn't work. Doesn't work till it's at least stable. So I suppose for me, you need to resource it. You need to accelerate it. It's like building a road. You don't want to build a road over 10 years. You build it in as short a time as possible, get in, get out. And one of the things that the guys in SA Partners, and I'm not here to I suppose, promote the guys, but they do a super job in deployment. They put together a really good plan, and they keep you to that plan. All right, treat people like adults. You look at what's happening in the HSE at the moment. Do I have to say any more? We're closing a site. With lots of bad news, it's constant. What I find with Irish people is that they're great with bad news, actually. They're crap with good news. They look at you when you give them some good news, and they shrug their shoulders and okay, what's next? Bad news? Okay, let's have a conversation. But at least treat them like adults. You build respect very easily, but you need to be out and about. Getting back to my leaders must lead. Leaders can only do that if you're out and about. And a learning organization is fun and challenging, okay? So last year I was doing a course, and I met a gentleman who was in his mid-60s, and he used this line on me, and he said he was just sharing stories. And it goes back to why I'm so happy with what we did in 2016. It takes time to implement lean. It takes time to do these big initiatives. But you have to do it. Don't always be thinking about it. Time moves on. I stood in front of 600 people at one stage when you include contractors. That was 4 years ago. We're now down to 20 months. And people say, oh crap, where's the time gone? So my only recommendation is time moves very, very quickly and a lot faster than we think. So if you take nothing else away, it's later than you think. Do something, as Nike said, just do it. Decide what you want to do and just bloody do it. What's the worst that can happen? So, thank you very much.